Hello.
How you doing?
Welcome to the Pest Interceptor show on Black Country Extra.
That's it.
There you go.
So, what's been going on? I go, oh, God, we're really busy.
Well, you would think so, really, for this time of year. We should be, but don't know what's happening. What's happening, Chris?
It's worryingly quiet, and all I can put it down to is the crazy, horrible weather. I mean, is it summer now? Are we in summer? It's hard to tell. I lit my fire last week, one of the days. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy.
I mean, we did last weekend. We did our Rolly Bonk Challenge climb for the charity. And it was like absolutely scorching. And then Monday it was like 10 degrees lower.
Well, you forget, don't you? You forget because we've had this constant cold weather, that when the sun does come out, it's like cooking people alive, isn't it? You know, and you've got that English mentality of, oh, the sun's out, let's get my shirt off and get in there, and then you end up burnt to a crisp.
But, you couldn't believe it.
It's crazy. I mean, the weekend just gone, it was glorious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was glorious. And then we had a day of torrential rain and freezing cold.
And stopped since.
Which is really, it must be affecting things, because I was just saying to Chris an hour or so ago, this time 4 or 5 years ago, the phone would be driving us insane. It'd be literally 30, 40, 50 calls a day, all about this time of year. It should be these tree bumblebees. I think I've had one call.
Yeah, we've only maybe two. We had to go and get one out of that roof, didn't we?
Yeah, so like I say, 3 or 4 years ago, we'd be doing 10 a day with these bumblebee removals out of people's bird boxes and lofts and all the rest of it. And although it's really annoying for the phone to keep ringing again and again and again and again, but that's how you get money in it.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day. It was kind of nice because we've been so flat out. It's like for such a long, long time. It was nice to have a little bit of a pause, and it was kind of, I was like, thank you, whoever sent this horrible weather, you know, because it meant we were a little bit quiet so we could catch up on loads of the other things that you have to do in business other than working. But then it's just kind of carried on. And it's like, the truth is though, Mark, the way it works usually is the first calls we get where everyone thinks they've got wasps, it ain't never wasps for months and months yet. The first calls we get is about mason bees. These are little tiny solitary bees that they're the ones that drill holes into your masonry and your brick walls. They'll always be on the sunny side of the house and they dart around really quickly. They're quite amazing little creatures, really. Because each one of those little holes that they drill in people's masonry, in their, is it masonry? Mortar bees, that's another name for them as well. So you get masonry bees, mortar bees, same thing basically. And each one of those little holes that they drill, inside there's like a little chamber where the queen is and she raises the young. But each one will raise, I don't really know, 10 young. So they're classed as like a solitary bee. And we usually get inundated, don't we? This time, at the end of spring, we get inundated with calls about these bees. Everyone's convinced they're wasps. We go out, we say they're not wasps, no need to treat them.
I haven't had a single call about them.
Not one call?
Not a call.
Not one call, Billy. I mean, that's strange.
How does it work with them? I mean, say it was like last weekend and they think, oh, it's the bees, oh, it's nice and sunny, so we'll start this. And then do they just retract and go back and thinking, oh, my agent, carry on?
It's kind of
very urgent.
I don't really know. It's quite difficult to say, really, because
it must trick them, isn't it, when it's like warm and then all of a sudden it gets cold? They must think, hang on a minute, we better get back to the nest or something.
Well, with our honeybees, we get it, don't we? Like sometimes in the autumn and in the spring, there'll be a warm day, and sometimes they'll try and take advantage of that and go and forage food, or just even go out for a poo, basically, because even bees need a poo, right? So they'll all go outside because it's above a certain amount of degrees. But then if there's a big snap and change in the temperature, sometimes the bees can't get back to where they are, so you'll end up with loads of what look like dead bees around your beehive. But really, they've just kind of almost like frozen to death. But they aren't dead. If you warm them back up, they come back to life.
I was going to say, do they all die out?
Put a little blanket on them.
Sleep them back. Well, Ricky did it, didn't he? He hoovered a load up round his beehives that he had at home, and then threw them away. And I was like, no. I said, just put them in a box, take them somewhere warm, and then put them back in the hive once they're warmed up.
And they just retrieve themselves. Oh, yeah. So they're a bit like hedgehogs, isn't
it? Well, yeah. I mean, It is kind of intriguing. Like I say, like on a business side of things, it's been a nice little break, but now it's getting a little bit concerning because now, never mind the bumblebees, we should be flat out with calls about bee swarms.
And I think I've had, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5. I had loads in the space of a couple of days, a couple of weeks ago, and I said to you, here we go, it's started now, it's started.
Yeah.
And that was it. Then just
well,
it was like, well,
they're kind of stuck, you know, the honeybees, they're the ones that swarm. They're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place now because it's been so cold, there's not much flowers out there to go and get their food from. But the queen's still going to be laying 2,000 eggs a day and they all need feeding. So there's like a fine line between producing too many kids that can't be fed, and then you've got the thing where they want to reproduce and they do that by swarming, but they can't do the swarming because it's too cold. So it's like they don't know what to do. And I think if we get a patch of weather, I thought it was going to be last weekend. When that sun came out last weekend, I was going to do some gardening. I thought, oh, my phone is about to go. And all day long I kept looking at my phone thinking, this is perfect swarm weather. And usually the phone would have been ringing off the hook. But it wasn't. I didn't get any calls for swarms that day. And that tells me that even though the temperature was right, they haven't got the stores to do it. So they can't. They haven't got enough energy to do the swarm and go and set up another colony somewhere. But it will happen. And I think the longer it goes on, this cold spell.
Do you reckon it'll just all of a sudden go absolutely mental?
I'm just hoping.
Probably when you're on holiday.
I'm hoping
that's what it's going to be.
It's going to be.
Yeah, going to Mexico on a trip.
He ain't going to go and get robbed by Mexican police again.
No. This time it's just cost. How much trouble can I get in cost, Billy?
We never know with you. It depends who you upset this time.
It's true. It's true.
And are these calls, you know, it was in the paper the other day about these hornets, and it's these calls because the bees will come and eat the bees.
Mate, the amount of scaremongering and clickbait that's going on about these Asian hornets. The truth of the matter is, the government here is making the same mistake as the French government, the Jersey government, all the governments are all making the same mistake by following what the people did before them and following the same mistakes. It's crazy. What they should be doing is people should see an Asian hornet, should report it, and pest controllers should go in and just whack them, right? Because they are no different to treating a wasp nest. All they are is slightly bigger wasps. And Asian hornets, people have got in their mind that they're these huge hornets and they're going to attack everything and blah, blah. They're smaller than our European ones. Our European hornets, they're a beast, man. You know, one came past me in the garden the other day. Oh, Christ.
Sounds like a helicopter, doesn't it? I remember that one. You were on a roof many years ago at the Kidderminster Way, trying to find how the rats were getting in this house. And then all of a sudden, I could see it from a mile off. A massive thing came flying past him. He absolutely pooed his pants because he's up on a roof and he fell off. And it sounded like a bloody chopper. Really? Like, honestly.
They are impressive beasts.
Do they sting?
Hornets, yeah.
I've never been stung by a hornet. Have you ever been stung by a hornet?
No, mate, I don't want to be. Because their sting looks big.
I mean, you know how scared I am of wasps. We've discussed this many times. Hornets are like, that amplifies it like times 10. To me, I'm just like, nah.
They're on a different level of intelligence, aren't they? Remember that ones we did down at the farm? Because the truth is, if someone's got European hornets, I would always try to say to them, well, try and live with them because they're amazing creatures. They're a lot more intelligent than a wasp is. There's not as many of them in a colony. They're virtually the same as wasps, but they're so much more clever, you know. They know when you put your bee suit on to go and treat them, if you are going to kill them, they know they've got guards that are always floating around the entrance, and all the guards will turn at the same time and look at you as if to say, oh, I don't like the look of you.
Really?
And they like change the attitude of their wings, so they get louder, so they're like as if to say, yeah, keep away, we don't want to sting you.
I'll be like, all right, see ya, bye.
Yeah. Leave me to it, yeah. So yeah, I mean, the truth is, those kind of insects, they're not going to attack you unless you attack them. You know, wasps can be a real pain in the butt.
So if you're aggressive, they'll be aggressive.
Yeah. Well, we had to treat some down the farm. Where we keep our bees, they had a big, an owl box up, and it had got hornets in it, European hornets. And we went down, we did a little video, didn't we? And one came out, honestly. How Ricky didn't get stung. I don't know, because this owl box was up really high, so, and we had to treat them because they were literally predating on all our bees. So it was like, well, I'm sorry, you picked the wrong place here, guys. So they had to kind of get whacked. But I treated them, and Ricky was filming it, and I had to get like a lot of my extension poles out to get up high enough to get into this owl box that they'd set up home in. And this one came out, and it was like a bullet, absolute bullet, and it just missed Ricky's leg. He was filming it. It's somewhere on our YouTube channel.
I don't remember.
Did they actually kill the bees then? Did they go in the nest and just kill them? Eat them or
yeah.
Did they?
I watched some of them once, and there was a colony of honeybees in an air brick in this old farmhouse, and 3 feet away on the same roof was a colony of hornets, right, Asian hornets. And I was watching them and discussing with the customer what to do, and then I realised what these bees was getting, they were getting chopped in half, right? Because the hornets was clever enough to work out that a hornet and a bee that it was carrying back for its dinner to feed to the grubs inside was too big to get through the gap in the air brick, right? But these hornets had worked out, because I looked down and there was loads of half bees on the floor underneath where the bee colony was. I was like, why is that? And then I worked out what the hornets had worked out was they could get through the hole in the air brick to get to their nest if they chopped the bee in half. And I watched them, honestly, work in tandem. One would grab one of the bees, and the other one would snap it in half, and the one below it, the hornet below, would catch the other half of it, and then they'd both fly in and go into their colony with them.
I watched a video on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it was the other day of a wasp. It could have been a wasp or a hornet, but it chewed a praying mantis in half.
Oh,
have you seen that one? It's horrible.
Literally
just chewed it in half.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they could get a nasty bite, and mind a sting, I would think, our Asian hornet. Sorry, our European hornet, not to be confused. Not to be confused.
So if you got bit, would it be, you have to get to the doctors and get, or can you extract, is there a poison you extract, like they used to say if you got stung, just suck it and get it out and spit it out? Does that work?
I don't know whether we should give that advice out. Because I'm sure I watched on Q Otherwoods, that's like the worst thing you can do with any kind of sting, because sting or bites off snakes and things. So they always do that in the movies, don't they? Suck it out.
Just suck it out and spit it out.
But it's like if it's deadly
well,
poison.
You can if you're Clint Eastwood.
The good, the bad and the ugly.
Shall we play a track and then we'll come back and talk a bit more?
Well, this is, I have to always introduce the tentatively related. Well, this isn't tentatively related at all. This is the Beatles. Well, there you go. It's self-explanatory. And it's Help, because we help people.
Yes. Yeah, let's make Paul McCartney a bit more money.
Yeah, he's apparently, isn't he a billionaire?
He's a billionaire now. First musical billionaire, I think.
I heard Taylor Swift was a billionaire as well.
Is in
how did she get one? How did she get to it before Paul McCartney?
God knows.
That's insane.
Just everybody. Somebody told me the other day that when she comes on a tour, Liverpool have made the town a twisty or something. You know, for the period she's there, they've turned it into a Taylor Swift town.
What does that even mean?
It baffles me. I mean, she was like a nice, sweet country and western girl, wasn't she? Once upon a time. Yeah. I don't know what's happened there. She's like some kind of satanic.
I mean, the stuff is good. It's very good. But then they all are full of angst, aren't they? And, you know, don't ever date them because they just rip you apart.
Well, she keeps pestering me for a day.
Yeah, anyway, she keeps ringing through to the works number. I keep having to hang up on it.
Anyway, back to you, lads. What are we going on
What are we doing? So luckily, because it has been quite quiet, like Chris said, it has given us a chance to catch up on other stuff. I spent about 4 hours this morning doing the VAT return stuff, which is really exciting, as you can imagine. But we've sort of expanded our online store presence as of today, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, literally today. It's finally
our
happened.
Amazon is live. Our products are live on Amazon as of about 2 hours ago. So that should stir things up a bit, hopefully.
It's really caused me a nervous breakdown many times.
Because obviously we were selling stuff anyway through the link on our YouTube channel, which goes to our Shopify store, not Spotify. I always get too mixed up. Our Shopify store. And those sales have been trundling along, to a couple a day. But now Amazon should hopefully change everything, know, because where do you go when you buy something? Amazon, isn't it? This is the first thing anyone goes on, isn't it?
So do you have to have a formal contract with Amazon then to set up?
Oh, well, we got this whiz kid involved.
Just in case anybody's listening, say, "Oh, I'll do that with my wife."
If they can, please do, because
it's not easy. It's not easy. No. I mean, that poor kid. He was like a Shopify kind of wizard kind of guy, and we've employed him like on a retainer each month and all the rest of it. And he's struggled that much with setting up Amazon that he hasn't even charged us for the first 3 months.
Really?
He's done today. Well, the end of this month would have been the end of our little contract with him. I will carry it on because he's finally got there. So it's not easy. It's not easy.
All of a sudden, we had an email come through. It says your product is live on Amazon. And we were like, "What? Yeah. Where did that come from?"
Well, it was 10 days ago when we got the first bit of good news when they said that our brand of pest interceptors was now an accepted brand on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got our own insecticide range and things like that. But everything's been put on the back burner because it's been like, well, what am I going to do? I've got 10 grand's worth of insecticide with pest interceptors all on order. But it's like, I don't want to press buy until... Do you know what I mean? What am I going to do with all that? And it's got sell-by dates on and stuff, so it's been very, very stressful.
Is that the protocol you have to go through? Do they make it that difficult?
They really... Well, I haven't really had much to do with setting up the shop side of things, because I've been out doing the day-to-day sort of jobs. But I know that Chris and Ricky have been tearing their hair out every time I go back into the office. They're just like screaming at the computer, going, "Why?
Oh, don't even start me on TikTok shop. Oh, my life.
Yeah,
TikTok shop. Oh, my God.
TikTok was just where you put videos on.
I just thought it was for kids. I just thought it was kids watching...
the school kids, when they come in and do the show, they're TikToking them and sending it out on TikTok.
I just thought it was to do little dances and stuff, but...
Well,
is that what you do, Chris? Is that...
It all started, right?
Break dances while showing the equipment.
A month or so ago, right, I noticed that someone had got more followers on Facebook than us. I don't like that.
In the pest control industry, though.
A
lot of people have got more followers than
that. And it was like, right, I ain't having that. So I was on a mission. So every weekend now, or my spare time that I used to have, tiny bit that it was, now I spend all weekend lying in bed, making shorts, making reels for all the social media and stuff. And, the truth is, I'm quite good at it, turns out.
Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thought you'd have been any good at technology stuff?
Well, you've got no choice, have you, I suppose, now. We had over 7 million views in 28 days on Facebook, Yeah, and Facebook and Instagram a little bit as well. But Instagram's not ready for pest control. Neither is Facebook, I don't think. Because the truth of the matter is, out of all that, just videos and stuff like that. But then somehow I got sidelined into, what's TikTok about? So now I've got suckered into the TikTok world. So it's like, I need 8 days a week.
Doesn't it get confusing though when you're doing all these reels? Because obviously I'm sure they've all
got
work in different ways, and you have to set them up in different ways. Do you sometimes forget which one you're doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
all the time. Well, as anyone who listens to this programme very often will know, I suffer with dyscalculia.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
but I have to have it all written down in little pads. I had to go out and buy, them old school pads that you used to have. I've got them all around my bedroom with little different coloured writing in for different formats of different dates. Because the difficult part for me isn't, because I'm quite creative, where the problem comes is the scheduling of it. Because I'll do it for a little bit and then my brain just goes, nah, I ain't doing this no more. I don't like this job. And then I'm just looking at it and I'm trying to put it out. Some days, even now, even with all my notes and everything, some days I'll be like, well, hold on a minute, 6 shorts have come out today, all in the space of an hour. And it's because I've put them all on the same day. Because
Or I'll wake up to a message that he sent at 5 o'clock in the morning. Right, and thankfully it usually doesn't wake me up, and it'll just say, if I set this up to send in 48 hours time, when will that be? And I'll be like, you sent this at 5 in the morning? Go to sleep.
This is what happens. Just recently, I wake up twice a night now. Doesn't matter what time I go to bed. At 9:30, I wake up at 1:20. Go to bed at 11 o'clock, 1:20. 1:20. What's special about 1:20? I wake up every morning. I don't know what's going on. And then I wake up an hour before my alarm goes off in the morning, and usually about 4 as well. And it's just like I wake up and go back to try and get back to sleep. But this is what business is now, though. It's just a constant.
It's 24/7.
It's an onslaught, mate. And that's why this little quiet patch we're having As much as it's kind of worrying, because the coffers, you know, if the money's not coming in with a business nowadays, it kind of starts getting you a little bit worried after a few days or after a few weeks. But now it's like, well, actually, perhaps this is what's necessary for the business, because I've proven that we can do the Facebook thing if we wanted to. I don't think we want to, though, really.
Can you monitor not feedback, what the return is on Facebook and TikTok? Can you say, well, all the inquiries come from that? Or is there a way of monitoring?
Really, the phone calls that we get, I should ask every single call where did you find us from? But usually they just say on the internet. Yeah. You know, if we know that if they're from outside of the West Midlands, it's usually YouTube they've seen us on. Because we go all around the country doing these rat-free guarantee jobs. So if they say I'm in London, I know they've seen us on YouTube. But yeah, the local ones, I should really ask where they get us from. But then they'll just say Google. They'll say I saw touch Google. And you're like, all right, okay.
And of course, a lot of the time, Google, because Google is YouTube, it'll put one of our videos up there anyway, depending on what the inquiry was that they put in. So it's kind of...
It's weird, though, because, I mean, we used to spend so much money every week on Google. We'd be looking at 500 quid a week on Google advertising and pay-per-clicks. And for the last probably year or so, we haven't spent anything because of the YouTube taking off and everything. Yeah. But still, people are saying, we found you on Google. So we're still up there, but we're not paying for it, so it's booked out all right.
I suppose that's...
And now Google are paying us because Google owns YouTube. And YouTube pay us for... our videos because they advertise on it and stuff, so it's kind of swung round in a circle, really.
Yeah. But they'll get us back. They'll get us back somewhere.
In terms of Amazon, is it the same? I mean, we get a lot of writers who use Amazon. Do they take a cut of everything that's sold off there?
Bound to, aren't they?
Really?
I don't really know. I've just been so wanting to have it.
When they go on Amazon to do the book, it's like 20% or something.
Well, it must be so. I mean, obviously, on the Shopify, we get billed every month for X amount of percent of what we sell.
Our biggest problem at the moment, one of the big problems, is dealing with Every, isn't it?
Every,
yeah, because now we sell to America,
of course,
right? And lo and behold, I didn't want to use Every, right, when we first set up doing our Shopify and stuff, because I was worried about all the tales that I'd heard about them and the bad press that I'd had. But we haven't had a problem until like last month, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous, Billy. These big companies, they're so hard to deal with. There's no one to speak to.
You can't speak to a person.
There's no one to speak to. But they're all the same, aren't they?
Yeah, you can go. You can ring a number. You can go on the online chat. You can do this, that, and the other. It's always a robot sending you the same reply, whether it's over the phone, whether it's on WhatsApp, whether it's on this, that, and the other. And you're like, I just want to speak to a person. You can't do it.
Yeah,
you can't do it.
And then even if they do, if you find an email that you can reply to, I can tell when it's a bot that's replied to me, because we use AI all the time, and I know when it's AI talking to me. I had it with Sports Direct, didn't I? Yeah. Oh my life! Don't start me on Sports Direct. My God! Wow.
No, don't start him on Sports Direct. Please don't start him on Sports Direct. Don't even ask.
Well, if I tell the story, you might as well tell it.
Well, it's not a shout out to the staff at the Maryhill one. I'll tell you now. I was absolutely treated like terrible. Absolutely terrible, so badly. I was the only person in the store, Billy. I was the only person in there. I had to first of all wave at people to try and get attention, and then I had everyone had this surly attitude. I was thinking, hold on a minute, I'm the only customer in this store.
I loathe and detest that.
It's crazy. And then I had to go and try and get in the fitting room, and then they were like, oh yeah, you want a different size, you go and get them. I was like, really? Is this for sure? And it got so bad that it ended up, I was surrounded by all these young girls all shouting at me and stuff. I was like, is this for real?
You did that on purpose,
Well, it was disgusting.
And you got kicked out. Have you ever known anyone get kicked out of Sports Direct?
Sports Direct,
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. That's great.
And you know what the amazing thing was? So I sent them an email, and they sent me this one back, and I sent them, so there's been this to and fro, and they're not interested. They don't care, right? Because it's all about people who come through the door. They've got a big store, they've got a big brand, right? But here's the interesting thing about Sports Direct. Their Facebook page, 12,000 followers. There's also people who hate Sports Direct page and want to complain about it, 12,000 followers. So there's as many people that follow a page about complaining about them as there are people who like their store. So that tells. And how are they still in business? These companies?
Because they're big, aren't they?
That's all it can be, and everybody's exactly the same, isn't it?
The thing is, though, Chris went to Sports Direct to buy a pair of designer jeans. Now, I wouldn't think to go to Sports Direct to buy a pair of designer jeans, which is a bit weird.
I thought that. Where did you say that? But I hate that as well. If I go up to the coffee shop and you're waiting there and they're they're all talking to one another, and you go, "Excuse me."
Yeah.
Somebody, and worse is, because I've got this thing about, if I've got cash in my pocket, I want to pay cash.
Yeah.
And if they say, we're waiting for things on the app to come through, people are on the car park, have ordered on their app. And I went, well, I'm standing here. They ain't come yet. So
And whatever happened to the customer's always right? We will bend over backwards trying to help people. Honestly, we will bend over backwards, and these big companies, they just don't care. They literally don't care. And the staff don't care because it comes down from the top, you know. And the truth is, the store was filthy, the changing rooms was filthy. It was just mind-boggling. I don't know how a company like that. They must be making their sales online, aren't they? Because they certainly weren't taking it in the store. Yeah, you know, it's like.
Well, after that beef,
you feel better now, Chris.
A little bit.
More chops available. Let's go into busted, shall we?
Yeah.
Why not?
So, because you bust things,
absolutely,
like ghost busters, you pest busters. It is busted.
In fact, the last time I was thrown out of Merrihill was because they. It happens quite often.
They go to security. Here he comes.
They wouldn't give me a refund. They wouldn't give me a refund for something that was faulty. Yeah. And they was like pointing at this sign saying we don't give refunds unless. And I was like, no, I don't care what that sign says. It could say we are allowed to murder people. It doesn't make it a law. The law is my statutory rights. You've got to give me my money back. And they wouldn't. And then the police came in. And I said, can you explain statutory rights to this poor woman? And they were like, yeah, you give the man his refund now. And they had to give me it, and they were like, "Oh, well, but the boss, the manager said." I was like, "Well, he doesn't. He's not a lawyer, is he?"
I always say, "Look, it's not your fault, Bab, and I know you're going to company policy, but that ain't the point."
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll say,
pests.
Have you lost a smile? Have you lost the ability to smile to someone? Right, we've got all the mounds out the way. So where are we going now?
Let's get back onto pests, really, rather than Chris ranting about shops.
I tell you what, one of our new products, that's quite an interesting thing, I think, for people if they're interested in pests and stuff. One of our new products is ultraviolet UV tracking dust. And it's a really, really handy bit of kit. I don't think it was about when I first started 15, 16 years ago.
It was when I started about 8 years ago.
Maybe it's always been about. But I remember the first time I ever used it and thinking, this is some clever stuff. This is some clever stuff.
It's great as well because it's basically, obviously, as the mouse or rat walks through it, they'll obviously leave a trail, and it's quite self-explanatory really. But half the time you can't see it with the naked eye. But then you get UV torch on it, and it's mental. It's just the trails are just all over
some
the
of the
place.
stuff on it.
Yeah, so what you would do,
forensics.
Yeah, it literally is. And you'd usually put it around, say if there was a mouse hole and you wanted to know where the mouse was going, or the rat hole or something like that, you just put a tiny little bit just around the mouse hole or around the bait station where you're trying to get them to and stuff like that. Because with rodents, they'll tend to use exactly the same track time and time and time again, because once they've done it once and they've survived, well, they think, well, I've done it once, we'll all just follow this track. So they keep on doing it. So then you know where to put your traps, you know where to put bait, things like that. But it's amazing to see, isn't it? It looks like a 1980s nightclub sometimes. You know, when you turn the lights off and turn on the especially when you turn on the UV light, like a black light, it all glows up. You can kind of see it anyway, can't you?
Some of the time you can see it, but half the time, even if you can't see it and you put like the UV torch on, it's like, wow.
And you see the little feet marks in there and stuff.
And sometimes as well, like, because with rats it's usually a sewer issue. And sometimes you'll see traces of it when you lift the manhole. So say the week before you've put tracking dust up in the loft, they've gone through that, gone back down to the sewer. Sometimes you'll pick up flecks of it in the manhole as well. So then obviously you put two and two together. It's like, well, it's a drainage issue, obviously, because there's the tracking dust.
And sometimes you see the tail swipes, don't you?
Yeah.
So sometimes the tails of the rats, wow. They were thick as your thumb.
Oh
because the tail is kind of their tail's very, very useful bit of kit to them. It's almost like prehensile, I believe. But they also use it as a balancing thing. So sometimes you'll see, like, say if they're jumping, say a foot into a hole in a wall or something, the tail will constantly hit in kind of the same place on the brick wall. And when it's got the tracking dust on it, which usually gets on their belly, doesn't it? Their feet and their tail mainly. And you see all these slash marks up the bricks. Like it's quite entertaining.
And it's also quite useful because so say people have got scratches in their loft. You go up there, there's no droppings or anything like that. So you put some of this stuff down, and then you can usually figure out what it is by the size of the footprints through the tracking dust. So then you know what you're dealing with then. Because half the time you won't see any droppings, and they don't know what it is. They're just hearing scratching. And obviously we need to know what it is because each treatment's different for a mouse or a rat or a squirrel. So that you go back, you'll see the footprints and go, oh, it's a mouse. And then you start the treatment for the mouse, So,
have you had much squirrel calls this year?
No, hardly any.
That's strange, isn't it?
We've got about 2.
How weird is that? Wonder why there's no squirrels about.
It's got to be something to do with the weather, isn't it? The season.
Well, you see plenty of them running around all the time,
yeah,
don't you?
do.
To be honest.
They're all over out of states because they come off the fields.
They do some damage, don't they, the squirrels?
Yeah.
I don't think they're as clever as a rat, though, because... You know what? Over the years, I've seen a fair few dead squirrels in lofts because what they'll do, like when you've got like thick cables up in your loft, it's almost like square shaped in it, like in cross section, and you'll see it, and they'll chew down the one side of the wire, taking all the insulation off down to the copper, and then they'll go around the other side and do the same on the other side, and as long as their tongue or spit doesn't touch both sides at the same time, they're all right. Yeah. But you do see the occasional electrocuted squirrel, right? I've never seen an electrocuted rat, So that tells me rats are a little bit cleverer than squirrels. Yeah, because we've had it a few times, haven't we? I nearly got whacked by one that was dead the week, because it was still attached to the cable.
We had to get them to turn the electric off, didn't we, in the house? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I don't know how the rats learn these things, because there's a thing in pest control, with all pests, that they have this thing that's called conditioned learning. And it's like, that all makes sense if the thing that they've learned and they pass on to each other doesn't kill them immediately. So how did the rats work out that, he got electrocuted, I ain't doing that? They must have that kind of a sense where it's like, he just got killed, I'm not doing what he did. I don't know, but I've never seen an electrocuted rat.
It's the same way, isn't it, how mice know what mouse traps are? They'll go out of their way to avoid this mouse traps half the time. You'll see trials in the tracking dust going round the trap like that. And you're like, well, why? And that contact gel that we use very, very occasionally as a last resort.
Oh, yeah,
that video you did. And this mouse pops up out the hole, and there's the contact gel all around this hole, and it looks at it. It doesn't know what it is. Never seen it before. It jumps over this line of contact gel.
Really? So contact gel's very strong stuff, isn't it? It's only supposed to be used as like a last resort. And the way that works is it gets on their belly fur and on it's like sticky gel. And they communally clean each other. But it's very, very strong rodenticide. So when they're cleaning each other, they ingest it and it kind of wipes them out really quickly. But it's very, very potent stuff. But yeah,
and then you had to double up the width of this contact gel around this hole, so it couldn't jump over it. It just jump onto it.
Yeah.
Because luckily we had it set up we had the trail cam set up on that job, and it was a really, really interesting video. That was.
Yeah, it was up Bromley Lane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bromley Lane, because we cleared the whole row of houses. All of them had got house mice. House mice are a real problem. Real problem. If you get house mice, it's very hard to get rid of them. One pregnant house mouse turned into 2,000 mice in a year.
Really?
Yeah. They make rabbits look like they're not interested. Seriously, they're like breeding machines. And that's one of the very few places that you would ever use contact gel, isn't it?
I've used it about 3 times in my life, I think. Because it's literally, there's like, obviously you always have to start off with the least toxic, which is always traps. And then you've got a sort of a level of things you could use. If that doesn't work, then you can step it up to, depending on what species it is, you can use poisons. And then if that doesn't work, we're going with the contact gel. But
I tell you what is flying off the shelves are blue bar mouse traps and rat traps, aren't they? They're fantastic.
Oh yeah, well today I told you earlier, didn't I, Chris? I went to I put some mouse traps in a customer's loft last week. Our blue bar mouse traps, as Chris just said, and the clever little, you know, ate the plastic blue bar off the top of the trap and didn't set the trap off.
Really?
So, and all around the trap there was like bits of blue plastic. I mean, they are hard wearing, but yeah.
So they go and tell all the others, if you want to get rid of it, just
maybe it was a mouse from one of our opposition, the yellow bar rat trap people, that planted and said, "Eat that blue bar off there."
He might have been watching YouTube. You never know. Could have been watching YouTube.
He's there going, "I'll give them. It's blue for a reason." Have that.
So where do you source them from then?
A lot of the stuff we try and get stuff from the UK if we can.
Yeah, if you can.
We tend not to deal with anything to do with Europe because it's just a minefield and the VAT and the blah 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 blah. Don't start me on Brexit. Oh my God.
We won't start on the election either.
No, we'll try and leave it out. But yeah, but the truth of the matter is China. You know, because it's nowhere else can really compete with it apart from on build quality and things like that. Like we sell an awful lot of what we call rat flaps. These are things where we fit them in sewer pipes and the rats go through the flap and then they can't get back out from the main sewer into your broken pipes and then into your house. But those are made in England because we want real good quality. And if we're putting our name to it, we'll only sell what we use basically. It's as simple as that, and we're going to stick to that no matter how big we get. If we don't use it, we ain't selling it. And if we do use it and it's rubbish, you know, it's like we've got people sending us stuff now.
I was going to say, do you get bombarded with stuff saying, because they know you're successful?
We've managed to do a bit of a wheeling and dealing to get a very expensive drain camera sent to us.
But I did say to them, you know, if it's no good, the fact that it's $7,000 or whatever it is for this camera, but if it's no good, well, I'll tell people, I'm sorry, we're not here to. It's very nice you want to give us a $7,000 or $8,000 camera, but if it's a load of rubbish, then
it won't be used.
It won't be used. Yeah, we certainly won't sell it. But we've also got our other cameras coming as well, haven't we? So we'll see.
Do they ask you to trial them and see what you think?
That's what they do. I mean, we get quite a lot of emails quite often. People have seen our YouTube and how many followers we've got and how many views we've had, and they'll say, "Oh, you know, can you try this? Can you try this sort of trap or this camera or whatever?" And we're like, "Yeah." And like Chris says, you know, we'll do a job. We'll take it actually onto an actual job that we're doing and use it and film us using it. And most of the time it's been decent stuff, I would say, really.
We've had some good products over the years, haven't we?
And also we've got all our own label products coming out. We've already got our drain dye and our tracking dust, like we just talked about.
The drain dye is pretty
The drain dye is pretty good. In fact, the drain dye is what you pour into a drain to see what's going where, what's flowing down which pipe.
Fluorescent, it turns the
and it was just a really, it wasn't even, wow, I can't believe I've not had this one before. Poison by Alice Cooper.
Here we go. My mate's thinking about taking his decking because he's sick to death of the rats under the decking.
Rats love decking.
So he'd sooner just take the decking down. I mean, look, he says he's only had it down a year and a half. And he said, you know, he used to keep a check and everything and all that. But he says it's just ridiculous now. He says it's just get the pain in the neck. He says, I'm going to take it down. So is there a lot of calls you get out to people with decking? Because I've got decking and I've never had a look underneath.
It's a nice, secure place, isn't it? So... harbourage, so where pests want to live. If it's nice and safe and secure and dry, you're kind of nearly there, aren't you? You know, it's kind of give them a bit of insulation or some nesting materials is perfect.
And it's also underneath sheds as well. It's a similar kind of thing. And it's like, you know,
I do like a shed.
They love decking and they love sheds. I don't own my own house as of yet, but I would never ever have decking for several reasons, and that's a big reason, really.
And the amount of times I've fallen over on decking.
It's so slippy as well, isn't it? Yeah, when it gets wet. I've just been out to a job actually in Kingswoodford, and the guys There's all bit planks missing and all this, that and the other, and I'm just like, it's a nightmare. And then there was a manhole under the decking that I needed to get to, but I couldn't because it was decking all over it.
Yeah.
Because again, because of rats being sewer problems all the time, if they've got decking over a manhole, well, you're going to have to rip the decking up.
Yeah. But then that's what I would. The truth is, though, although it is a perfect place, as you probably remember, rats nearly always come from sewer problems somewhere. And quite often when rats are under the decking, you'll find that under the decking as well, there's a rat hole going straight down, and it'll be going down to the sewer pipes that are run along the backs of the houses.
Oh, right.
So there's like that connotation to it as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's absolutely perfect then, because then they've got a food source. Not only can they come out and they'll go to a bird feeder from someone feeding the birds, well, they can go back into the sewer and go and eat some poo.
Yeah.
You know, so they've got a double whammy of food. Then you've given them the decking where they can live underneath, make a nice nest, and then you're going to get a lot of rats. You know, one rat can turn into 200 rats in a year.
Do they bury down to the sewer then? Or
no, they come the other way.
Oh, right.
It comes the other way.
Oh, it comes the other way from the sewer up.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
no, I didn't know they could dig through. They can.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And they've got this uncanny ability. Sometimes you'll see rat holes going down someone's lawn, and when you look, you think, hold on a minute, they're in a line, and lo and behold, there's a sewer pipe below there, and it's like they can kind of pick it up. Yeah. Sometimes what people do, they'll find a rat hole, fill it with concrete or something like that. Well, the rats that was above ground that want to get back in there, they'll just pick up where the pipe is that's got the sewerage in, because they think, right, if I get back down there, I'm kind of getting towards home. I don't know how they do it. Perhaps it's the frequency of the water. I don't really know how they do it, but they do. But decking's another one for bumblebees.
I was going to say, do you remember that job we did a few years ago? So basically, this guy, he had a bumblebee nest. They were going in this little hole in his decking, right, on the one side of the decking. And obviously they were causing him problems. His kids were playing outside and all the rest of it. So we're like, obviously, we'll find the nest and remove it. So they're going in that side. We took off a couple of planks. We had to take up every single plank of decking.
I think it was a scam.
Every single plank of decking, because it was right on the other side.
Did he want his
decking off anyway?
Yeah, they were going in this hole here and travelling all the way along to the other side where their nest was.
Yeah,
it was the middle of summer, it was sweating, and then, like you say, he probably just wanted his decking removed. He didn't want to do it himself. And then I think at the end of that job, I think he did turn around and go, I was going to get rid of it anyway. Yeah. I was like, oh, you.
Yeah, took it all up for him.
Is that something you have to do? Say you have to, I don't know, say you have to take a wall out or something. Do you have to put the wall back?
Ricky does,
yeah. Ricky's a really good builder, so which is really handy, especially on the honeybee jobs. Usually, if it was bumblebees or something, and you really wanted them taken out of a cavity wall, we'd do it. But it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, you know, because we've literally got to take the wall apart, take some stingy bees out, rehome them, and then we've got to rebuild your house. So it's not really viable. But when it's honeybees, if you don't do that, if you just get tempted to kill them, big no-no, big no-no. If it stays dead, wax moths will get into it, and beetles and all sorts, and they'll infest your house. They'll also eat all the wax, which contains the honey, so then the honey starts running out and getting covered in dust and coming out your walls and ceilings and all sorts. So that'll end up costing you tens of thousands to clear up, never mind thousands. So with honeybees, they need to be taken out properly. You know, if they're in a chimney, we'll sometimes take the side of the chimney down to get to the comb, take all the comb out, then rebuild your chimney for you.
I like you say we, but that's Ricky.
Well, Ricky does pretty much all the big stuff now.
Ricky has to do all
I know, we should get him to come in. We should get him to come in and introduce him.
I've just entered him into Young Pest Controller of the Year for the National Pest Awards. I don't know how happy he'll be about that, because he doesn't like that he gets a bit like shy of that kind of stuff. Doesn't like the limelight. He's not like his dad. As I messaged him, he's away at me, and I said, "I just entered you into an award, by the way."
Really?
I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll see.
We'll see.
I suppose we've got a couple of minutes. We better tell everybody. Well, they can check Facebook and all that. But what's the best ways of finding out?
You know what? I mean, like,
we've got that many blooming.
I know, we've got that many avenues now.
The easiest way would just be to Google pest interceptors. That would be the easiest thing to do, because you'll find us all over Google.
Yeah, or YouTube. You know? Just type pest interceptors into Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, now TikTok. Shopify, Amazon, your Black Country Radio website. We're on there as well, I think.
Yeah, I've tagged you in a few thingies on Facebook.
Yeah,
I reckon you'll be getting some listeners off that.
Yeah, fantastic.
I can say 7 million in 28 days.
And you just want it to get a bit busier then now? You've had your like chill out couple of 10 days.
I'd like it to wait until I get back from COS next Sunday. Yeah. If we can wait till about Tuesday, Wednesday next week, and then the sun come out, I'll be all right with that.
Yeah, because then I can have a bit of a chill while you're away as well, if it stays quiet.
This is true, yes, while the cat's away and all that.
And then you'll be working your rug off for the rest of the
Probably, yeah. I'll be screaming and all summer running away from wasps. That's what's going to happen next.
I think this year's going to be wasps.
Wasp crazy.
I think it's going to be the biggest year for many years for wasps. Really? So get ready for that. I think so, yeah.
So we're warning you out there, keep an eye out for your wasps.
And ants. Ants is a big one already.
Oh, ants, yeah, of course.
Ants and dicks, yeah.
Ant index. Last track then.
Killer Queen.
Killer Queen.
Self-explanatory.
And we'll see him in about a month.